A quick visual guide to grading action figures brought to you by ActionFigureResource.
Action Figures Resource. ActionFigureResource.com.
The C scale is a way of assessing your figures, specifically the condition of the card or box they are packaged in. You can also get them professionally graded utilizing such paid services as the Action Figure Authority or AFA. However, it's always an important skill to be able to assess what you're looking at to ensure you buy and sell at the right price. Learning this will definitely help save you money in purchasing, and if shrewdly applied, you can maximize what you make from sales. Of course, it does need to be combined with a close knowledge of the figure series you're delving into. So in the simplest terms, it's a scale of 1 to 10, with condition 10 or C10 at the very tippity top, ready to be sealed away for safekeeping, and C1 occupying the flea market at the bottom. We'll start at the pinnacle and work downwards. For this, various parts of the card or box need to be assessed. General, the overall condition of the card. Surface, the card front and back along with its finish. Bubble, this is the plastic blister that encases the figure itself. Corners, liable to get knocked and creased more than any other part of the box. Edges, much like corners, prone to warping if not properly stored. Creases, these can occur naturally or through mishandling. Price tag, if absolutely glued on, this can lower the value. If removed messily, it can tear the surface. Sometimes it's better to just leave it on. C10 is as perfect a condition that a figure can get. It is a supremely rare grade, usually reserved for exceptional specimens. Even taking the figure out of its original store shipping case endangers its chances of being graded C10. For this, it needs to be virtually untouched by human hands. For many, but not all collectors, the hole punch that would allow it to hang on a peg must still be sealed. It needs to be flat and absolutely clean, and retain the original sheen, being unaffected by dust or moisture. No stains, no holes, no writing, aside from autographs, and even then there's an argument for making it a C9. No creases, no fraying at the edges, no curling at the corners. The bubble must be crystal clear, and not malformed, dented, or dinged in any way. And there must be no evidence of a price tag ever having been on the packaging. In basic terms, if you were standing at a factory line and this figure was about to be put in a shipping carton, you would still need to take a close look with delicate, gloved hands to assess the figure as C10. If you have a figure you judge to be in this condition, it may be an idea to get it professionally graded by the AFA. They may still locate minute imperfections, but it could be considered a wise investment for the future, even factoring in the costs of two-way shipping, grading, and sealing in one of their acrylic cases. Either way, you should get a custom-sized figure case for it to minimize any harm. This is classified in the action figure trade as mint, or MOC, mint on card, or MOMC, mint on mint card. Everything else we're about to look at is on a sliding scale downwards from here. This grade is often given arbitrarily to figures of various conditions by eBay sellers and the like, and can also be used to describe a figure in generally great condition. But a true mint C10 is always a cut above casual inspection. C8 to C9 are much the same as C10, but tiny imperfections like a slight, almost imperceptible curl at the corners or dings to the bubble are acceptable. The card may be not absolutely flat, but could possibly be flattened out with the right case, provided that it does not damage the card any further. Aside from that, everything above still applies. This is classified as near mint, and most figures you think are mint are probably closer to this when properly assessed by professionals. C6 to C7 will naturally show more wear than the above. The card can be slightly more creased or curled, provided the paint itself has not begun to crack and discolour. The sheen will have worn off somewhat, but the colours must still be bright. Regarding the edges, now is the time to get our rulers out. Most backing cards are created by pressing two layers together, so over time those layers will begin to come apart. From this you get separation. Some slight fraying or separation in C6 to C7 is acceptable, provided the affected areas are no longer than an inch. The tiny telltale tear betraying the area a price tag once used to be may show itself to still get this grade, provided they are less than 1/8 of an inch. The bubble on most figures over time may begin to yellow. This can happen if left in the sun and occasionally even in total darkness. It all depends on the chemical composition and the air around it. A C6 to C7 bubble can gain opacity, appearing yellow or tan. It must also still be almost entirely attached to the backing card. Small sections of no more than half an inch may have begun to come away, provided they are not uprooting and tearing the card front itself. It must be obvious that this figure has not been removed from the card and then later resealed. This is classified as being in fine condition, and most well-kept older figures will be around this category. C4 to C5 is similar to fine condition, but the cracks will have had a permanent effect on the paint. There may be tears and marks on the card, again no bigger than half an inch. Some stains, dirt or writing are permissible. The finish will most likely be completely gone as long as the colour is still there. Often there will be pinholes where they have been affixed to a wall or board. Sections of the edge may be frayed and separated in areas of up to 3 inches. The bubble is also likely to be more significantly affected, with a darker yellow hue and/or small cracks or signs of pronounced crushing. It's also possible the figure may have been removed and then resealed. This is classified as good condition. Some more rare figures may still be desirable at this point on the scale, depending on your priorities as a collector, if you may end up paying out significantly more for fine or near mint. C2 to C3 shows more severe wear. The card could be faded, discoloured or folded over completely. There could be large tears, holes or stains, and water damage. Corners can be severely frayed, edges may have separated in areas larger than 3 inches, the bubble could be completely brown, completely crushed, separated on 2 or more sides, possibly tearing up large areas of the card. The figure could have been taken out relatively easily or even damaged along with the card. It may simply be advisable to remove the figure altogether at this point and display it loose. If it remains in good condition and is not discoloured, there are a variety of professional grade cases that will keep it safer and looking better than in this sorry state, which is classified as being in poor condition. And finally, the dreaded C1, which we call very poor, is a veritable wreck, making a mockery of what should have been a beloved figure. It's much the same as C2 and C3, but the card front and back may have become completely separated, shipping in 2 parts, or with one absent entirely. It may simply be the bubble, still barely attached to a square of card, with the remainder crudely scissored off. The opacity of the bubble could be extremely high, leaving it a murky brown, if not smashed in entirely, leaving the figure vulnerable to the same harsh elements. Also, it's not on any official C-scale guide, but it probably smells as well. The same applies here as to what you do with the figure. Ditch the packaging and find some other way to display the poor thing. It's been through the wars and needs some TLC. Now this guide of course is not absolute. Many sites and groups have different scales, usually focusing on the specifications of achieving perfection with C10 and its closest grades. Many collectors will not touch their definition of a C7 or lower. There are of course many other factors that affect a figure's overall value in the market, and we of course go into them elsewhere. That will wrap up this quick overview, but there are more in-depth written guides with accompanying audio available on ActionFigureResource. And what do you think qualifies as C10, its coveted and supremely rare grade? Also, what do you do with your C1 to C3 figures? Let us know in the comments. I've been Alex Shaw for ActionFigureResource.